The sun blazes overhead as Jake Matthews, his face weathered from years of solitude, pushes his mule forward along the barren desert trail. The heat radiates off the dry ground, making the air shimmer. Suddenly, through the dust swirling around him, he spots something, a faint, fragile movement. Two small figures, barely recognizable through the haze, lie in the dirt. As Jake dismounts, his heart races. They're abandoned in the harsh wilderness. Our two children, twins around 5 years old, dirty, bruised, and nearly unconscious. They look up at him with wide, fearful eyes. Desperation floods his chest. He can't leave them. Not here. Not like this. Jake's calloused hands gently lift the twins, cradling them as best as he can. Their frail bodies tremble, but their gazes, filled with fear and confusion, tug at his heart. He knows the desert better than anyone. He's been here for years, alone with only his thoughts and the endless expanse of sand for company. But this feels different. The wind begins to pick up, swirling dust around him, making it harder to see. Then, a noise breaks the silence, a series of gunshots. His head snaps up, and his instincts kick in. Someone is out there, and they're closing in fast. The tension in the air thickens as Jake's hand instinctively reaches for his rifle. His pulse quickens. The shots had been a warning, a signal. Someone was nearby, and judging by the intensity of the gunfire, they weren't looking for a friendly conversation. The twins, still trembling in his arms, seem unaware of the impending danger. The desert air feels suffocating, the heat now unbearable. And then, a voice, low, gravelly, and full of manuscripts through the dust. "Those kids aren't yours." Stranger. Jake freezes. His body tenses. The hairs on the back of his neck stand up. The voice is unmistakable, and it's followed by the sight of two men emerging from the desert fog, their eyes cold, calculating. Jake takes a deep breath, trying to steady himself. The men before him are not friendly. Their clothes mark them as part of the rival tribes that have roamed these lands for generations. The Powhatan tribe, fierce and proud, or perhaps the Deserts tribe, known for their brutal tactics. Neither tribe is known for mercy, especially not when it comes to something as valuable as the twins in Jake's arms. These children, no matter how broken and frail, are worth more than Jake can imagine. He understands that much, but he doesn't fully understand why. One thing is clear: the tribes will not let them go without a fight. Jake's mind races, calculating the odds. He's outnumbered, alone in the vast desert with nothing but his rifle and his wits to keep him alive. The sound of galloping hooves in the distance only adds to the pressure. A choice has to be made now. Does he turn over the twins, hand them over to these strangers, and live to see another day? Or does he stand his ground, refusing to give up what's clearly not his to lose? The weight of the decision presses heavily on his chest. The voices behind him are growing louder, but his focus remains on the children, vulnerable and innocent. The sun beats relentlessly as Jake holds the twins, knowing that every second counts. The men from the tribes move closer, their eyes locked on him with the intensity of hunters closing in on their prey. "Give them to us," one of the men says, his voice dripping with authority. Jake doesn't answer right away. His fingers tighten around the rifle, but he knows there's no escaping the inevitable. He's in the heart of enemy territory, and his next move could mean life or death. The twins' cries cut through the tension, a stark reminder that they are far more than mere pawns in this deadly game. Jake takes a deep breath, weighing his options. His mind is spinning, his heart racing. As the wind picks up, the dust swirls around them, making the decisions seem even more impossible. The desert stretches endlessly before him, nothing but sand, wind, and sky. The weight of his decision weighs on him more than the heat. He has two choices: surrender or fight. Neither one guarantees safety for the twins, neither one guarantees his own survival. But he's not alone now. Not anymore. And that, for better or worse, will change everything. Suddenly the men draw closer, their faces grim and expectant. Jake's grip tightens on the rifle, his heart pounding in his chest. "I'll fight for them," he whispers to himself, as much to reassure his own nerves as to affirm the decision he's about to make. In that moment, everything changes. The desert's silence is broken by a single, deafening shot, and Jake knows that this battle for survival is just beginning. The stakes are higher than he could have imagined, and the choices he makes now will echo far beyond this desolate stretch of land. Jake rides hard, urging his mule through the arid landscape. As the sun beats down with unrelenting heat, the twins are clutching onto him for dear life, their faces pale and drawn, barely able to keep their eyes open. The wind kicks up dust behind them, but it's the noise of galloping hooves that makes Jake's heart race. He knows they're being followed and hunted. The Powhatan tribe, known for their brutal warriors and sacred customs, will stop at nothing to claim what they believe is theirs, and the Deserts tribe, notorious for their savagery, is equally determined. The tension in the air is suffocating, and the dry desert landscape feels more like a trap with each passing moment. Jake's mind spins as he presses forward. The farm is still a few miles away, but it feels like a lifetime. The twins' fragile bodies are growing heavier in his arms, their heads resting against his chest. He can hear their faint whimpers, but he knows that safety is still so far out of reach. His gaze flickers over his shoulder, seeing two riders in the distance. That outline's barely visible through the dust cloud, but their speed tells him everything he needs to know. They're closing in fast. He grips the reins tighter, urging the mule forward, but the ever-present sound of hooves grows louder, now accompanied by the faint murmur of voices on the wind. Jake's pulse spikes as the riders draw closer, revealing their war-painted faces. The Powhatan tribe, their leader, a man named Taka, steps forward, eyes cold and unyielding. "You've taken what is not yours, outsider," he growls, his voice like gravel grinding in the desert air. The second rider, a woman of striking beauty but ruthless demeanor, belongs to the desert's tribe. She narrows her eyes at Jake, her lips curling into a smile that doesn't reach her eyes. "The children belong to us. You have no right to them," she declares. Jake swallows hard, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. He's outnumbered, the pressure mounting with every word exchanged, but Jake doesn't back down. His hand tightens on the reins as he stares both tribes down. His heart is pounding, but his resolve is stronger than the fear gnawing at him. He knows there's no way he can outrun them. The tribes will fight for the children, and he'll be the target. But he won't let them take the twins. He won't. "I don't care who you are or where you come from," Jake's voice rings out, raw and defiant. "These children are under my protection now." The words hang in the air, and for a moment it feels like time stops. The wind dies down, the world holding its breath. Then, without warning, Taka's hand goes to his weapon, and Jake's instincts, kicking the air around them, grows heavier as Jake surveys the scene. The tribes are closing in, but so is something else, a new threat. The distinct sound of boots crunching on the dry earth reaches Jake's ears, followed by the telltale hum of horses. Government men. He hadn't expected them to show up so soon, but as they come into view, he realizes they could be more dangerous than the tribes combined. The men, wearing formal uniforms and stern expressions, have arrived with a clear mission. Jake's gut churns as he realizes their involvement could complicate everything. These men don't care about tribal rights or children, they only care about control, and they've come to claim it. The leader of the government men, a tall man, with a sharp face and cold eyes, dismounts and strides toward Jake. "Step aside, rancher," he commands, his voice steady and authoritative. "Those children are part of an investigation. They're not your responsibility anymore." Jake's grip tightens on the reins, his mind racing. He sees the standoff clearly now to tribes, each wanting the children for their own purposes, and now the government, adding another layer of danger. The desert air seems to hum with the promise of violence, and Jake knows he has no choice but to stand his ground. He won't let them take the children, not without a fight. Not today. The government men position themselves, drawing their weapons with calculated precision. Tension ripples through the air, and for a moment, everything feels suspended. The tribes remain silent, their hands hovering near their own weapons, their eyes never leaving Jake. He can feel the weight of their stares, each one a silent threat. Every second that passes inches them closer to an all-out battle. Jake doesn't know if he'll survive this fight. He doesn't know if the twins will make it out of here, but he knows one thing for sure. He won't let them take the children, not while he still has breath in his lungs. The first shot rings out, and everything explodes into chaos. Jake's mind races as he ducks, hearing the unmistakable sound of a rifle shot whizzing past him. The tribes have already begun firing, the air filled with the crack of gunfire. The government men return fire with precision, their rifles booming in the dry desert air. Jake doesn't waste a moment. He yanks the reins of the mule, pulling the children closer to his chest as he dives behind a rock for cover. His heart pounds, adrenaline surging as the battle unfolds around him. This isn't just about the children anymore, it's about survival. He's trapped between two forces he can't control, and he knows that in this deadly game there will be no winners, only those who live to see another day. Jake arrives at his secluded ranch, the sun dipping low behind the distant hills, casting long shadows across the barren landscape. The twins, still fragile and pale, cling to him as he gently dismounts, careful not to jostle them too much. He leads them inside the small, modest cabin, the dust from the desert air settling on the wooden floors. As Jake tends to their wounds, washing their dirt-smeared faces and feeding them what little he has, a quiet dread settles in his chest. The weight of his decision is heavy, but the quiet hum of the desert outside offers no answers. For now, all he can do is protect them. But he knows the storm is far from over. In the flickering candlelight, Jake looks at the twins, so innocent, so broken, and something stirs deep within him. There's something about them, an energy he can't quite place. They aren't just children, they're symbols of something greater, something ancient. As he watches them sleep, nestled in a pile of blankets, a thought gnaws at him. The tribes want them for more than just their blood. Their fates seem inexplicably tied to the land, to the desert itself. The twins' presence here feels almost predestined. His mind races, trying to piece together the mystery, but the silence of the cabin only deepens his uncertainty. He can't help but feel that his own life, too, is somehow bound to theirs. The night stretches on, and Jake's thoughts drift to his own past, The years of loneliness that led him to this desolate patch of earth. Memories flashed before his eyes of friends lost to time, of family members who had passed, leaving him with nothing but the quiet whispers of the wind. He had come here seeking solitude, a way to escape the pain of the world he no longer belonged to. But now, with the twins under his roof, everything has changed. They remind him of the family he once had, the life he once lived before it all slipped away, and in that fleeting moment, he wonders if he's been running from something deeper all along, a chance for redemption, for hope. As the hours drag on, Jake finds himself haunted by the eyes of the twins, their silent stares cutting through him. The storm he thought he had outrun is closing in. He had wanted peace, solitude, but now he has someone else to protect. The tribes will come, of that, Jake is certain. He knows the Powhatan and Deserts tribes are not ones to forgive. They will lay siege to his ranch if they have to, and the government men, with their cold eyes and iron wills, will only complicate things further. The ranch, once a place of quiet reflection, now feels like a target, a place where the past and present collide in a deadly dance. With each passing day, the sense of urgency grows. Jake can feel the tension in the air, like the calm before a storm. He watches the twins as they begin to open up to him, their fears slowly giving way to trust. But that trust is fragile, easily shattered by the dangers that are drawing nearer. Jake finds himself in a battle not just for their survival, but for his own soul. The ranch is no longer just a refuge, it's a battleground, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Every decision he makes now feels like it could determine their fate, not just the children's, but his own as well. As Jake sits by the fire, his mind constantly racing, he can't shake the feeling that something much larger is at play. The desert, the tribes, the government, they're all pieces of a puzzle he has yet to fully understand. But one thing is clear, the twins are at the center of it all. He feels an undeniable pull toward them, as if they are the key to something he cannot yet grasp. It's a feeling that fills him with both hope and fear. He's not sure what lies ahead, but he knows that the future of the desert, the fate of the tribes, and even his own future, all hinge on the mysterious connection between him and these two children. Days pass in a blur of uncertainty and quiet moments with the twins. Jake works tirelessly to fortify the ranch, setting up barricades and stockpiling supplies. He knows the tribes are coming, but he doesn't know when. The government men are lurking in the shadows, their presence an unspoken threat. Jake can feel the pressure mounting, the weight of his decisions pressing down on him with every passing minute. The quiet moments with the twins are the only reprieve he finds, but even then, the sense of impending doom hangs over them like a dark cloud. His mind races as he searches for a way out, a way to protect the children and himself from the storm that's coming. The sound of galloping hooves echoes through the night air, and Jake's heart skips a beat. The tribes are here. He can hear the war cries of the Powhatan and the guttural shouts of the desert's tribe, their voices rising like thunder in the distance. Jake stands, his jaw clenched in determination. The time for hiding is over. His gaze falls on the twins, still asleep in their makeshift beds, unaware of the danger closing in around them. He knows that the battle for their future has begun, and it will be a fight like no other. The ranch, once a place of quiet refuge, has become the final battleground for the fate of these two children, and Jake will not let them fall into the hands of those who would destroy them. Jake spends the next few days in a haze of exhaustion, his every move dictated by the need to keep the twins safe. Yet, despite his efforts, something strange begins to unfold. The more time he spends with the children, the more he senses an undeniable connection to something ancient, something larger than himself. One evening, as the twins play quietly by the fire, Jake overhears them speaking in a language he doesn't recognize. It's soft, melodic, and eerie, as though the words are older than the land itself. The hairs on the back of his neck stand on end as he realizes that they aren't just playing. They are communicating in a way that doesn't belong to this world. His suspicions grow the following morning. As the twins wander around the ranch, they suddenly stop, staring at a patch of desert to the east. Their faces, once filled with fear, are now calm, almost serene. They begin to chant softly, their voices harmonizing with the desert wind. Jake watches, heart racing, as the ground trembles beneath his feet, the sand shifting in a way that he can't explain. His instincts scream at him to turn away, but he can't tear his eyes from them. The children, without even realizing it, are tapping into something far more powerful than he can comprehend. It's a force that seems to call the desert itself to attention. Later that day, Jake meets an old man, a wandering traveler who claims to know the ancient myths of the desert. He speaks cryptically of a lineage of shamans, powerful beings who are said to have the ability to shape the desert's very nature, controlling the flow of water, guiding the winds, and determining the fate of the land. The old man's eyes lock onto Jake's with an intensity that makes his skin crawl. The children are descendants of the shamans, he says, his voice low and grave. They hold the key to the desert's future, and they are not just children. They are the last of their kind. Jake listens in stunned silence as the weight of the man's words settles on him like a storm cloud. The realization hits Jake like a punch to the gut. The twins aren't just refugees. They are the embodiment of a powerful bloodline, a lineage that has been lost to time. He begins to understand why the tribes are so desperate to claim them. The tribes believe that whoever controls the twins controls the fate of the desert. Their power is the only thing that can either save the tribes from certain destruction or doom them to extinction. The more Jake learns, the more he realizes that the stakes are higher than he ever imagined. The tribes are willing to kill for the twins, and they won't stop until they have them. As days pass, the twins' abilities grow stronger. Jake can no longer deny that something supernatural is happening. At times, the wind will pick up with a force that seems to respond to their very presence. Other times, he watches as the children gaze at the distant mountains, their eyes glowing faintly, and the rocks shift in subtle ways. He's seen enough to know that the twins are not ordinary children, but he's also torn. He's afraid of what they are becoming, yet he can't help but feel a deep sense of compassion for them. They are alone in this vast desert, hunted by forces they cannot understand. They need him more than ever. Jake realizes that his role has changed. He is no longer just a protector, he is their guide, their last hope. He can't deny the fear creeping in, fear of what these children might become and what they might awaken in the desert, but he can't walk away now. He knows that the tribes will stop at nothing to claim them, and the government men are no less dangerous. Jake is caught in a web of conflicting emotions. His desire to protect them is stronger than his fear, but he's now more aware than ever that he's in over his head. One night, as the twins sleep, Jake finds himself staring out at the desert. The wind howls in the distance, carrying with it the scent of impending danger. The tribes are closing in, but Jake's mind is preoccupied with the children. He knows that their destiny is intertwined with the land, and that by protecting them, he is not just fighting for their lives, he is fighting for the very future of the desert. He doesn't understand it all, but one thing is clear: he cannot allow them to fall into the hands of the tribes. They are too important, too powerful to be used as pawns in a war they don't even know exists. The next day, Jake takes the twins to the far edge of the ranch, away from prying eyes, to prepare them for what's to come. He tries to explain to them, in simple terms, what they are: descendants of ancient shamans with powers they don't yet understand. The twins stare at him, wide-eyed, and Jake sees something in their expressions, a deep unspoken understanding. They may not know the full extent of their abilities, but they know that they are not like other children. And Jake knows that, no matter what happens, he must be there to protect them, even if it means sacrificing everything he has left. The sun sets behind the distant mountains, casting long shadows over the ranch as Jake makes his final preparations. The air is thick with tension, and he can feel the storm building on the horizon. He knows they are coming. The tribes, both Powhatan and deserts, are closing in, their war cries carrying on the wind. The government men, too, are not far behind, their presence a looming threat that hangs over everything. Jake's heart pounds in his chest as he watches the horizon, knowing that the twins are about to become the focal point of a battle that will determine their fate and his. The ranch, once a place of quiet solitude, has become a battlefield, and Jake stands at the center of it all. As night falls, the first shots ring out, cutting through the silence like thunder. Jake flinches, instinctively reaching for his rifle, his fingers trembling. The Powhatan warriors are the first to charge, their war cries echoing through the desert night. They are fierce, their bodies adorned with intricate tattoos and feathers, their eyes filled with rage. The desert's tribe follows close behind, equally relentless in their pursuit. The ground shakes beneath Jake's feet as the two tribes clash, the sounds of gunfire and shouting filling the air. The government men are quick to join the fray, their rifles aimed at the tribes, their orders clear: take the children, no matter the cost. Jake's hands are steady as he takes aim at the approaching warriors, but his mind is elsewhere. In the chaos of battle, he realizes something: no matter how much he tries to avoid conflict, he is inextricably linked to this ancient struggle. The twins, the tribes, the land itself, all of it is part of a story that has been unfolding for generations. Jake has been running from his past, from the pain and loss that led him here, but now he sees that he can't escape it. The battle is not just for the twins' survival, it's for the survival of the desert itself, and he is a part of it, whether he wants to be or not. As the battle rages on, Jake's heart aches for the twins. They are at the center of it all, their lives hanging in the balance. He can hear their cries above the chaos, their fear palpable even from a distance. Jake moves swiftly, trying to protect them while also fending off the relentless assault from both tribes and the government. His body aches with each step, his muscles burning with exhaustion, but he refuses to stop. The twins are everything now. They are not just children, they are the key to the desert's fate, and he won't let anyone take them. Not now, not ever. In the midst of the violence, something strange begins to happen. The wind picks up, howling through the desert, its intensity matching the chaos unfolding around them. The twins, caught in the heart of the battle, begin to glow with an otherworldly light, their eyes shining with a power Jake has never seen before. The ground beneath them trembles, and the very air seems to hum with energy. The warriors falter, their eyes widening in awe and fear. The tribes have underestimated the true power of the children. Jake watches in awe as the twins, their hands raised to the sky, begin to channel the ancient energy of the desert. The fate of the battle of everything now lies in their hands. Jake stands frozen, torn between his fear for the twins and the realization of the power they wield. The tribes and the government men are no longer fighting just for control of the children. They are fighting for control of the land itself. The battle has reached its peak, and the outcome is uncertain. But one thing is clear. Jake's role in this ancient struggle has been sealed, whether he survives or not. The destiny of the desert and the twins will be forever shaped by the choices he makes in this moment. The ranch is bathed in the eerie glow of the setting sun, its orange light cutting through the chaos like a harbinger of the final battle. Jake stands at the edge of the compound, his heart pounding in his chest. The gunfire and shouting from the tribes grow louder with each passing second, and the government men are closing in from the other side. The children are behind him, their frightened faces peering from the safety of the barn. Jake knows what's coming. This is it. His last chance. He can either hand over the twins, ensure his own survival, and watch them be claimed by the tribes, or he can fight and die for them. No guarantees, no escape. The weight of the decision presses down on him like a ton of bricks. For a brief moment, Jake considers surrender. He could end this now. The tribes are strong, and the government men will stop at nothing to claim the children for their own purposes. He could walk away from the battle, let the twins go, and live out his days in peace. But when he looks at the twins, their wide eyes filled with fear and confusion, he realizes there is no other choice. He can't turn his back on them. They are more than just children, they are the future of the desert, and their fate lies in his hands. If he lets them fall into the wrong hands, everything they represent, everything they could be, will be destroyed. No, he thinks, he won't let that happen. Jake's fingers tighten around his rifle as he surveys the land around him. His mind races, calculating his every move. The terrain is familiar, and he knows the ranch better than anyone. He's lived here for years, and he knows how to use the land to his advantage. The ranch may be a battleground, but it's his home, and he'll fight for it. He can hear the sound of footsteps approaching, the steady march of the tribes as they prepare for their final assault. The government men are already positioned, their rifles trained on the front gate. There is no more time. This is the moment. He takes a deep breath, ready to face whatever comes next. As the first wave of warriors charges toward him, Jake raises his rifle, taking out two powerful fighters before they even have time to react. He moves quickly, his body fueled by adrenaline, his instincts sharper than ever. The air is thick with smoke and gunpowder, the crack of rifle shots filling the air. His heart races as the sounds of battle intensify. But even in the chaos, he remains focused. The children are safer now, tucked away in the barn, but the tribes and the government men are relentless. He can hear them shouting, cursing, demanding the children. Jake knows he has to keep them away from the ranch. He has to make sure the twins don't fall into their hands. The fight drags on, each minute feeling like an eternity. Jake's body is covered in sweat, his muscles aching from the constant movement. The Powhatan and Desert's tribes are fierce, their warriors moving like shadows in the night. But Jake has the advantage of knowing the land. He uses the terrain to his advantage, setting traps and creating barriers to slow the enemy's advance. But the government men are a different kind of threat, organized, precise, and relentless. They push forward, inching closer to the barn where the twins are hiding. Jake can hear their footsteps now, their cold voices barking orders to one another. He has to act fast. In a desperate move, Jake sprints toward the barn, throwing himself into the path of the government soldiers who are closing in on the children. He fires his rifle, taking down one soldier, then another, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He feels the weight of every shot, every decision, but he refuses to back down. The tribes are still coming, their warriors advancing from the other side of the ranch. He's outnumbered, outgunned, but he won't stop. The fate of the twins, of the desert, rests on his shoulders. As the gunfire echoes around him, Jake realizes that this battle is about more than survival. It's about ensuring the future of a land that has been shaped by ancient forces. He won't let them destroy it, not while he still has breath in his lungs. The final moments of the battle come in a rush, the intensity of the conflict boiling over. Jake's vision is blurry from exhaustion, his body aching, but he stands tall, determined. The tribes are closing in, and the government men are making their final push. But Jake knows he can't hold them off forever. With one last push of strength, he makes a decision. He will give the twins their chance. He turns and sprints toward the children, hearing the sound of footsteps behind him. The tribes are on his heels, the government men not far behind. Jake's heart is in his throat as he reaches the twins, pulling them into his arms and shielding them with his body. He has no more weapons, no more options. This is the final stand, and it will either save them or destroy them all. Jake stands alone in the middle of the battlefield, the scent of smoke and blood heavy in the air. The distant sounds of gunfire and cries of war echo around him, but he's numb to it all. His hands, stained with dirt and sweat, grip the rifle tightly, his eyes locked onto the twins. As he looks at them, their innocent faces now marked by the horrors of the day, something deep inside him shifts. he realizes with a sudden clarity that protecting them is not just about saving their lives, it's about confronting his own demons. For years, Jake had tried to bury the past, to forget the connection he once had to the tribes and their ancient ways. But now, as he stands in the midst of a war that is older than he can comprehend, he knows there is no running from the truth. The memories begin to flood back. He remembers his father, a man who had lived and died by the customs of the desert, a man who was once respected by both the Powhatan and Desert's tribes. His father's teachings were steeped in the old ways that Jake had rejected long ago in search of a simpler life. But as Jake watches the twins, he begins to realize that his fate has always been tied to theirs. His bloodline is connected to the ancient shamans, the very bloodline the tribes seek to protect and control. He's been running from his heritage, but the truth is inescapable. The desert has always been his home, and now it's calling him back. Jake tries to shake off the weight of these memories, but they follow him like a shadow. Every corner of the ranch, every grain of sand beneath his feet feels like a reminder of a life he never fully embraced. The ranch itself, once a symbol of his escape from the past, now feels like a prison. He is no longer just fighting for the twins. He is fighting for his own redemption. His father's teachings echo in his mind, reminding him that the desert is not just a place but a living, breathing entity that must be protected. He's always known this deep down, but only now does he truly understand what it means. The tribes are not just enemies, they are part of his past, part of his blood. As the battle rages around him, Jake's role in this conflict becomes painfully clear. The tribes, the government men, they are all fighting for the children. Yes, but they are also fighting for the future of the desert. The twins, though innocent, carry within them the power to shape the land itself. And Jake, by his blood and by his actions, is the key to unlocking that power. He has never asked for this responsibility, never wanted it, but the desert has chosen him. The legacy of his father, the legacy of the tribes, is now his to carry. He can't turn his back on it anymore, not when the stakes are this high. The survival of the tribes, the future of the land, it all rests in his hands. The sound of approaching warriors snaps Jake back to the present. The tribes are closing in, their movements calculated, their eyes filled with fury. The government men are still pushing forward, their rifles raised, their intentions clear. Jake knows the fight is far from over, but now, it's not just about surviving. It's about accepting the role he was born into, the legacy he never wanted but now has no choice but to embrace. The fate of the desert, of the tribes, and of the twins, all of it hinges on his next move. Jake Matthews has always been a man of action, but now he must face his past and make the hardest decision of his life. As Jake stands at the edge of the battlefield, he can feel the weight of his bloodline pressing down on him, the desert itself, urging him to fulfill his destiny. The memory of his father's voice, of the ancient rites, fills his ears, and he realizes that he is not alone. The spirits of the land are with him, guiding him, just as they guided his father. He takes a deep breath and raises his rifle once more, his eyes set on the advancing tribes. In this moment, Jake knows that his battle is not just for the twins, it's for the future of the desert, for the legacy that has always been his to carry. The blood of the shamans runs through his veins, and now he will fight to honor it. The desert air is thick with dust, and the sun hangs low, casting a deep blood-red hue over the barren landscape. Jake stands at the center of the ranch, his rifle heavy in his hands, his heart pounding. The twins are huddled behind him, their faces pale with fear, their small hands clutching the edges of his worn shirt. The tribes, along with the government men, have surrounded the compound, their eyes burning with determination. The time for running is over. The battle has come to an end. And Jake knows that this final confrontation will decide not only their fate, but the future of the desert itself. The tribes prepare for the final assault, their war cries echoing across the land, while the government men take their positions, rifles raised and ready. Jake's gaze flickers over the battlefield, his mind racing as he weighs his options. There's no escape. He's outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded by enemies with no intention of letting him or the twins leave alive. His eyes meet the twins, their faces are filled with uncertainty. But beneath that, Jake sees something else. The ancient power that has been growing within them. It's always been there, but now it's about to surface. As the warriors of both tribes advance, the ground beneath them trembles, and for a brief moment, everything stops. Jake's breath catches in his throat as he watches the twins step forward, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. One of them, the boy, raises his hands to the sky, and the air around them grows thick with energy. The wind picks up, swirling in a violent frenzy, and the earth rumbles beneath their feet. It's as though the very desert itself is awakening, responding to the force emanating from the children. Jake watches in awe, his fear replaced by something else. Wonder. Then, the unimaginable happens. The ground begins to crack open, fissures, spreading through the desert like veins of fire. From the cracks, dark shadowy figures begin to emerge in ancient beings, perhaps the spirits of the desert itself, awakened by the twins' power. The tribes stop in their tracks, fear flashing across their faces as they watch in disbelief. The government men, too, are caught off guard. Their weapons momentarily lowered as they stare at the phenomenon unfolding before them. Jake can feel the power in the air, the weight of centuries of history, of conflict, of life and death, pressing in on him. The twins are no longer just children, they are the vessel through which this ancient force is manifesting. Jake feels a mix of terror and awe as the children's power grows. The spirits of the desert rising to their feet like an army. The tribes are no longer the enemy now. It's the desert itself, an ancient power that has been lying dormant for centuries, waiting for the right moment to awaken. The figures from the cracks begin to circle the battlefield, their eyes glowing with the same intensity as the twins. The warriors of both tribes hesitate, unsure of what to do. The government men, too, falter, their carefully planned assault now meaningless in the face of this new force. The balance of power has shifted, and Jake realizes that everything he knew about the desert, about the tribes, has changed in an instant. In that moment, Jake knows that the battle is no longer about survival, it's about something far greater. The tribes wanted the twins to control the desert's fate, but they never understood the true power the children possessed. But government men, too, are just pawns in a game that they can't begin to comprehend. Jake watches as the ancient spirits begin to take shape, their forms ethereal but powerful. The twins, still standing before him, are the key to everything. The future of the desert lies in their hands, and Jake realizes that his role in this ancient struggle has come full circle. But as the forces of the desert swirl around him, Jake's mind turns to the cost of this power. The desert has been a land of both beauty and violence, its spirit as unforgiving as it is sacred. The awakening of the ancient power could mean the rebirth of the land, or it could lead to its destruction. Jake's gaze shifts from the twins to the tribes and the government men. If they are allowed to fight for control, there may be no desert left to claim. The power the children possess is a force of nature, and nature itself has no loyalty. It's a reminder that sometimes, even in victory, the cost is higher than anyone can comprehend. The tension in the air is palpable as Jake stands between the twin children and the advancing tribes. The ancient spirits are circling, and the desert itself seems to hold its breath. It is a moment suspended in time, one that could either lead to the rebirth of a new era for the desert or to the devastation of everything they've fought for. Jake takes a deep breath, his eyes locked on the twins. They are his responsibility now. Whatever happens, whatever the outcome, the choice is his. He can try to control the power, shape the future of the desert, or he can step back and let it all unfold. The final decision rests in his hands, and in that moment, he realizes that no matter what happens, this will be the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. As the desert's power swells, Jake knows that this will either be a victory for the future or the start of a new war, one that will determine the fate of the land, the tribes, and everything he has ever known. The twins' power is overwhelming, and Jake's choices in this final moment will decide whether it brings peace or destruction. The sun sets completely, leaving the land bathed in darkness. In the stillness, the fate of the desert hand of Jake hangs in the balance. As the last rays of the setting sun disappear, the desert plunges into a cold, silent night. The wind howls across the barren landscape, carrying with it the scent of something ancient, something awakening. Jake stands, caught between two worlds, the world of men, where violence and power are fought with weapons, and the world of spirits, where the desert speaks in ways that no one fully understands. His eyes are fixed on the twins, their faces illuminated by an ethereal glow. The power that surged through them earlier now seems to lie dormant, but Jake knows it is still there, waiting, watching. His heart races as he feels the weight of the decision that looms before him. The tribes are still close, their warriors circling at the edges of the ranch, waiting for a sign to advance. The government men, too, have not retreated. They remain in the distance, their eyes locked on the twins. It's clear now that no one will leave without a fight, but Jake can feel the desert's pulse beneath his feet, its rhythm like the beat of a heart, strong, steady, and unyielding. He knows that this moment will either bring a new dawn for the desert or cast it into a war that will tear it apart. The fate of the land, of the children, of the tribes, it all depends on what happens next. Jake looks at the twins, their innocence still visible despite the storm of violence that surrounds them. He's seen their power firsthand, the way the desert itself responds to them. He knows they aren't just children, they are the key to something far greater than any of them can comprehend. The tribes and the government men may think they want control over the twins, but the truth is far darker. No one can control the desert, and no one can control the twins. The power they possess is both a gift and a curse, and in Jake's heart, he knows that the only way forward is to let the desert claim its own. For the first time in his life, Jake feels at peace with the land. It's as if the desert, with all its mystery and danger, has accepted him, has accepted his role in the cycle of life and death that it commands. The power of the twins is an extension of that, an ancient force that flows through the earth itself. Jake understands now that he has been part of this story from the beginning, even if he never wanted to be. His father's blood runs through his veins, and with it, the knowledge of how the desert must be protected. He feels the weight of the desert's legacy on his shoulders, but it doesn't crush him. Instead, it empowers him, giving him the strength to face what comes next. Suddenly, the ground trembles once again, and the twins begin to chant in unison, their voices echoing through the night. The air grows thick, and the spirits of the desert, the ancient figures that had once risen from the earth, begin to manifest once more. This time, their presence is undeniable. The spirits move with purpose, circling around Jake and the twins, their forms shimmering in the moonlight. The tribes, already on edge, falter at the sight. Even the government men hesitate, their fingers twitching around the triggers of their rifles. The desert is no longer just a place. It is a living, breathing entity, and it has made its decision. Jake watches in awe as the spirits move toward the tribes, their presence a reminder of the desert's untamed power. The warriors of both tribes stand frozen, unsure of how to respond. They had come seeking control, but now they are confronted with something beyond their comprehension. The government men, too, are caught off guard, their cold, calculated approach faltering in the face of the desert's fury. For the first time, Jake feels like he's not alone. The desert has risen to protect him, to protect the twins, and in that moment, he understands that the desert is not just a battleground, it is a sanctuary, a place where life and death intertwine, where the past and future collide. With the spirits surrounding them, the tribes make their final move. But it's not a move toward battle, it's a retreat. One by one, the warriors lowered their weapons, their eyes filled with awe and fear. They'd come to claim the twins, but now, they see the true power they possess. The government men, too, begin to pull back, their guns lowered, their faces blank with disbelief. Jake knows that this is not the end, not yet. The desert, with all its power, has spared them for now, but the future remains uncertain. The tribes will not forget what has happened here, and the government will not let go of its pursuit so easily. The war may be over, but the battle for the desert's future is just beginning. Jake's heart pounds as he stands in the center of it all. The twins by his side, the spirits watching over them. He knows that the desert has claimed its victory for now, but the land is restless, and the power that the twins possess is a force that cannot be controlled. There will always be those who seek to harness it for their own ends. Jake feels a new weight settle on his shoulders, the weight of responsibility. He must protect the twins, protect the desert, and ensure that the power of the land is never used for destruction. It's a burden he never asked for, but one he must carry. As the last echoes of battle fade into the night, Jake knows that the real fight is just beginning. Jake stands still, watching as the last remnants of the battle dissolve into silence. The tribes have retreated, the government men are withdrawing, and the desert, once again, falls quiet. But in the stillness, Jake feels a sense of dread growing deep within him. He knows that the events of this night won't soon be forgotten. The tribes will regroup, the government will seek answers, and the desert's secrets will continue to call to those who dare to challenge it. The twins, though spared for now, have not escaped the forces that seek to control them. Jake realizes that this victory, while important, is only a temporary reprieve. With the night still thick around them, Jake turns to the twins. Their faces are no longer filled with fear, but the weight of what they've just witnessed has left its mark on them. They are different now, changed by the ancient forces they've awakened, by the power that flows through their veins. Jake looks into their eyes and wonders if they truly understand what they have set into motion. The land, the tribes, the spirits, all of it will revolve around them now. And though the battle is over, the journey they must take has only just begun. He feels a deep sense of responsibility for their future, knowing that the path ahead will be fraught with dangers that he cannot predict. The stars begin to appear in the night sky, their cold light casting an ethereal glow over the desert. Jake looks up, as if searching for answers. The winds have died down, but the air still feels charged, as though the land itself is holding its breath. He knows that this isn't just a battle for control, it's a struggle for the soul of the desert. The twins hold the key to that soul, and their fate will determine whether the desert will continue to live in harmony with itself or be consumed by those who seek to exploit it. Jake's role in this story has only just begun, and the weight of it presses down on him with every breath he takes. With the threat of immediate danger past, Jake takes the twins by the hand and leads them toward the ranch house. The sounds of the desert seem to be calling to them now, urging them to leave this place and travel deeper into the land they are tied to. Jake's mind races with questions about the children's power, about his father's legacy, about what will happen when the tribes inevitably return. But one thing is clear, the desert has chosen its champions, and they are here to stay. Jake is no longer just a rancher, he is now the protector of the land, and the guardian of a future that has yet to unfold.